This subject of battery backup raises some interesting questions. There are some regulatory requirements now. There's some specific ones in the US for applications whereby CCTV systems have to have battery backup on them. And it's a sign of how things have evolved over the years. If we look back, because if someone put a burglar alarm in your house and they said, oh, by the way, if the power goes off, your burglar alarm goes off, and someone can break into your house, you'd look at them and go, you what? Take away, I'm not buying that. It's a piece of junk. Get out. Why are you trying to sell me that? Strange enough, we all do it with CCTV. Now, why? That we have, there's hundreds of thousands of CCTV systems out there that if the power goes off, the CCTV goes off. And I think it's the fact that in the early days, early tube cameras and all the rest of the equipment was very power hungry, and the costs and provisioning of battery backup for that would have been inappropriate. So we all got used to the fact that CCTV doesn't have battery backup. That doesn't mean that it's right, and we have to look at what we're doing. And as we're seeing CCTV becoming the primary defence in more cases than not, with the burglar alarm really is a regulatory requirement. You've got to have one there because the insurance company says it's got to be there. But are you really relying on the burglar alarm as your primary decision maker? Quite often not. As we begin to put that absolute reliance for that first line protection on CCTV, surely it's got to have battery backup in the same way as a burglar alarm would. Now, there'll be a couple of ways of doing this. Big generators, huge UPS systems, huge stacks of batteries in the control room, and now not just putting all the cabling infrastructure for the cameras and everything else, but also now a whole power distribution cabling infrastructure back to those backup generators. You think about that, you think, well, remember now why we don't back up CCTV, because that's a lot of extra expense, cost, and effort. Within this model, we've actually got within each of these cameras this very powerful capability of a complete enterprise server, but it's only 3 or 4 watts per camera. Now, in the burglar alarm environment, we've all seen the 12-volt 7-amp hour battery. It's the mainstay of burglar alarms and everything in terms of what we expect for battery backup. 12 volts, and then amp hour is 84 watt hours of battery backup capability. 4 cameras, 3-4 watts each, you're at 16 watts. So we've got 4 or 5 hours, probably about 4 hours by the time we've powered the local disk as well. So we can now begin to see the fact that we can in fact see a sensible modular way in which we can achieve that battery backup within our system. So now the junction box not only acts as a sort of cabling junction box, creates a vital air gap which I'll come on to between the outside network and the internal part of the network. Further storage, it also means that without getting involved in huge extra cost or complexity, we can in fact start moving towards completely battery-backed CCTV systems. And the excuses that it's been too difficult in the past, just about, well, it's where we are. It's where we've been for the last 15, 20 years. As we move forward, it won't be an excuse to say it's too difficult, too expensive. This technology will allow us to do that. So we have our intermediate storage, and that's using a technology called AOE, ATA over Ethernet. We've deliberately chosen a technology there that does not rely on IP infrastructure. It operates over the Ethernet cable, so it's the same blue wire going to the camera, but it is not an IP infrastructure protocol. It actually results in a pairing, a bit like your headset to your phone with your Bluetooth, a pairing between that storage device and that camera. So then, even if it's the fact that the IP network has come under attack in some way, someone's flooded the network with an arm storm attack, so that everything's still connected, but no one knows where anyone is any longer. That camera and that storage unit will still be talking to each other. So again, we're not just talking about physical redundancy here, we're talking about operational redundancy, especially in the case of some form of system level attack. So regardless of the fact that again your complete network control can be damaged, you will still have that vital link between the camera and that storage. ATA over Ethernet. We all know that existing disk drives that we've been putting in our digital recorders, PATA drives, parallel ATA, that's how you talk to hard disk drives, and now the latest generation drives that have been giving faster serial formats. We all hear now about SATA drives, serial ATA drives. This is ATA but over Ethernet, AOE. It's an established standard and format, but not used that extensively because it won't route through IP. You can't access it via a route on an IP network, and that's exactly why it's what we need here, because what we actually want to do is to create an air gap between different parts of the network. We talk about the risk of network attack. In our IP NVR model, every single camera connection point is a weak hole into the network. It may be saying, oh no, but we have it all firewalled by LDAP and by usernames and by IP address. Well, that's all very well, but take the example I said earlier that something like an ARP storm where you basically just send bogus addresses around the system. Those have to be passed on by the firewalls. It's how they know who's who, so that they can then make decisions whether to let people through or not. So many firewalls can't protect against an ARP storm. So there are ways of dealing with it. I won't go too much into it because I won't give the whole world a breakdown of how to defeat everyone's existing IP systems. But these are risks, and I'm afraid the biggest problem is we're not talking about some fantasy kit that Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible or Q has created for James Bond. Unfortunately, these are things you can run on a laptop and download off the internet. So if you're going to have your security system fully centralized, but every single camera endpoint is essentially a weak point into that system, again, you're taking a high risk. What we can achieve here within this hub here is not a generic switch, but a very focused, targeted unit that is designed to explicitly only allow through the specific video and other control protocols that we are allowing for that one application. We can effectively create a sort of super firewall and not rely on the IT manager understanding it all and knowing how to configure it for a particular CCTV unit. Because it's an integrated part of our solution, it will implicitly be there in the right mode to start with. If the IT manager for any reason needs to modify it, he will be able to modify it with care, but at least by default it's going to be in that secure air gap, protect the central network. So you've immediately now created that vital air gap between the endpoint of the camera and your central core network. It's interesting, we're working with one of our distributors to put promotional digital signage displays, surprisingly enough running on chip-right technology, to help promote their other products and of course our own products. And I said, if you connect up through your network, we'll do all the update and support remotely. Oh no, won't be able to do that through corporate. No chance, no, because they're very concerned about everything that's connected on the network. So they were concerned about having a product accessed by a key partner of a completely known product installed in the trade counter depot hub. Sorry, brain's going. In the branch. Thank you. Got there in that branch.